Hello. Now I'm going to tell it to you straight. We've been doing a lot of inner work to get here. Through Cancer season, we've been renovating the sacred home within ourselves. Jupiter has completed its journey through the sign of Cancer, and Mercury is now direct again, also in the sign of Cancer. And after everything we've been feeling, healing, and reflecting on, we're finally ready to move forward. If Cancer asked us to come home to ourselves, then the full moon in Aquarius is asking, who are you? And now that you know who you are, where do you belong? It may come as a surprise, but those aren't the same question. This is where the inner work that you've been doing begins to shape the life you're living, and where becoming yourself and belonging finally meet. Hello, Cosmic Fam, and welcome back to Moonlight News, where we pick up what the stars are putting down so you can navigate your life with clarity, confidence, and cosmic timing. I'm Laurel, and today's headliner is the full moon in Aquarius, the courage to belong. In my previous episode, we explored the new moon in Cancer with the Mercury retrograde Cazimi, inviting us to renovate at the root, to fortify our inner foundations, and create a home within ourselves that could support the future that we want to nurture. And now we begin the next chapter of that journey as Mercury is now direct. Jupiter has completed its transit through Cancer after an intense time of reflecting and healing and reconnecting with our most vulnerable parts. So if that made anyone else uncomfortable, you'll be happy to know that now the focus is going to shift from our inner world and begin to move outward, as those inner transformations will start to take shape in our outer reality. So this is where the life within you will begin to take shape in the world around you, and where being yourself and that feeling of belonging will finally meet. So let's take a look at what's unfolding in the sky, shall we? This is what we're working with this week. The skies have been very active lately, but what I'll be focusing on in today's episode will begin with the sun entering Leo on July 22nd, which means we are officially in Leo season. Yay! And this energy is going to be bringing in some much needed light after the emotional depths of Cancer season. On July 23rd, Mercury went direct in the sign of Cancer. On July 26th, Saturn stationed retrograde in Aries, where it will remain until December 11th. July 27th, the Sun in Leo will oppose Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, while also forming a trine with Neptune retrograde in Aries. July 28th through 29th, Venus in Virgo will square Mars in Gemini. And then on March 29th, our headlining transit arrives with the Sun in Leo conjunct Jupiter in Leo, while opposing the full moon in Aquarius. Now, I know that might not sound especially uplifting, especially with Pluto being involved here, but there's a much deeper story unfolding beneath these transits. I'm going to explain why, and I'll be breaking down each of these transits and the unique energy that they bring as we move forward into the full moon in Aquarius happening today. So before we get going on all that, I just want to tell you guys real quickly that this energy has hit my life especially pretty hard. The transits have directly hit natal aspects to my chart, so the energy has been pretty intense for me lately. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast than I normally do, but I really thought it was important to come out here and to kind of give you just an idea and a context of what's happening kind of astrologically, because we are officially in eclipse season and the next 2 lunation cycles will be eclipses. So I wanted to make sure that I came and that I gave you guys a little bit of an overview of what's going on so you know where we're headed, but also what you have to work with before we kind of get to where we're going. Astrology very much builds on itself, so the things that happened before do often act as catalysts for what's coming. So even though there's a lot going on in my own personal world, I just wanted to make sure that I came and kind of laid a little bit of the foundation for you for what's ahead. Because despite what may be going on around me, I'm absolutely thrilled about what's ahead, and I wanted to extend that excitement to you as well. So first up, Mercury direct in the sign of Cancer. Mercury finally stations direct in Cancer after several weeks of a Mercury retrograde. So now we're finally beginning to gain clarity around our thoughts and our emotions and our conversations. Misunderstandings will start to resolve and delayed decisions can begin moving forward. And because Mercury is in Cancer, the clarity that we're receiving is especially connected to our home and family life, our emotional security, and the stories that we've been telling ourselves about where we truly belong. On July 26th, Saturn stationed retrograde in the sign of Aries. So whenever Saturn stations, we feel its lessons much more intensely. In Aries, Saturn is asking us to examine how we're using our independence, our courage, our leadership. Aries naturally wants to move quickly, while Saturn reminds us that lasting success comes from slowing down. This retrograde is less about pushing forward and more about refining our discipline and strengthening our character, learning that patience often creates far more freedom than impulsive action ever could. Now, on July 27th, the Sun opposed Pluto while trining Neptune. So this energy is a little bit more psychological. So the Sun in Leo is opposing Pluto retrograde in Aquarius while simultaneously forming a trine to Neptune retrograde in Aries. So the opposition of Pluto is going to shine a light on our power dynamics, control, and where we've been giving our power away. Pluto will expose what's been hidden beneath the surface so that transformation can finally take place there. So the Sun is also receiving support from Neptune. Neptune softens Pluto's intensity, encouraging compassion, intuition, imagination, and a much deeper spiritual perspective. So instead of reacting from fear, we're invited to respond from wisdom. Then, on July 29th, the Sun conjunct Jupiter will oppose the full moon in Aquarius, which brings us to our headliner for this episode. The Sun in Leo conjoins Jupiter in Leo while standing directly opposite the full moon in Aquarius. So Jupiter magnifies everything. So as it joins the Sun, it amplifies Leo's themes of courage and confidence, creativity, and our authentic self-expression. This transit is asking us to believe in ourselves and to trust our gifts and to stop hiding the parts of us that were always meant to shine. But directly across the sky, the full moon in Aquarius is reminding us that this journey isn't only about us. Leo is asking us, who am I becoming? But Aquarius is asking, how does the person I'm becoming contribute to something greater than myself? In other words, to others. Full moons represent culmination, revelation, and completion. So this full moon is shining a light on our relationships with our community, our friendships, and the future we're trying to build, as well as our sense of belonging and the role that we're meant to play within the collective. So because Pluto is also in Aquarius, this becomes far more than an ordinary full moon. It has the potential to reveal the places where we've outgrown old identities, old friendships and communities, or even old versions of ourselves that we've continued carrying simply because they felt familiar. This isn't necessarily about rejection, though. It's about alignment, because sometimes we outgrow rooms that we once fought hard to be in, and sometimes the people that once understood us no longer recognize who we're becoming. Belonging requires us to disappoint expectations so we can finally become who we were always meant to be. And with Jupiter expanding Leo's courage and Pluto transforming Aquarius's vision of the future, this full moon is asking us to integrate both, to honor our individuality without losing sight of our connection to others. True belonging will never ask you to abandon yourself, but it will ask you to become so fully yourself that the people and communities meant for you will naturally begin to find you. So when we step back and take a look at the entire sequence of transits, a very clear story begins to emerge. Mercury direct helps us understand what we've been learning emotionally. Neptune and Pluto are reshaping our inner world from the inside out. Saturn is asking us to become more disciplined, of course, more responsible for the future we're creating. And the Sun opposing Pluto is exposing where transformation is necessary, while Neptune reminds us to meet that transformation with compassion instead of fear. We're beginning to have honest conversations with ourselves and making conscious adjustments. Everything will culminate with the full moon in Aquarius happening today, and that is going to remind us that becoming ourselves isn't just about the personal journey. It's about something that ripples outward into every relationship, community, and every future that we are here to help create. Leo is reminding us to let our light shine. And Aquarius is like, hey, our light was never meant to shine just for ourselves alone. Perhaps the deeper invitation of this lunation cycle is to have the courage not only to be seen, but to belong, even while we're still in the transformation process. So for our Tarot in Transit segment, I have picked the Strength card. The theme here is becoming yourself. The King of Swords card. Know what is true. The Knight of Wands card. Pursue what matters. And the World card. Live it. And for the cards, I'm using the traditional Rider-Waite cards, but I'm also using the Tarot of Sacred Kingdoms. And that is this. And I just love these cards. I think they're so beautiful. I really wanted to showcase them. The Sun has entered Leo. Yay. So naturally, I would pick the Strength card. This is a card of authentic self-expression. What has Leo been asking of you? And how does courage differ from confidence? I think these are some really important questions to ask, especially since we just kind of came out of a Cancer season where we really got in touch with those innermost parts of ourselves, as I was mentioning before, where we were kind of creating safety and peace in our emotional foundations, where we were facing things about ourselves and maybe our family history. And with Leo season now, we can take that tender part of ourselves and be courageous in it, stand out in it. I love this I love this picture here of the lion and this person holding the light, like it's reflecting an inner part of themselves, like inside of themselves is bigger than maybe how they might seem on the outside. This is an inner strength, an inner courage, and an inner peace. A peace that comes from knowing that you can tame the wild beast within you, that you can tame that part of yourself that you were afraid of or maybe felt loud and chaotic, terrifying even. I love the infinity symbol above her head and the countenance and peace that she has and how her hand is in the mouth of the lion. So she isn't forcing the lion into submission. She's calming it through patience, compassion, and quiet confidence. Floating above her head is the infinity symbol, reminding us that true strength comes from an inner source that never runs dry. Strength teaches us that courage isn't about overpowering our fears or controlling others. It's about mastering ourselves. This mirrors the Sun's conjunction with Jupiter and Leo, encouraging us to expand into our authentic identity with confidence. At the same time, the full moon in Aquarius is asking us to remain true to ourselves, even if doing so means standing apart from the crowd. This lunation cycle reminds us that true strength isn't found in controlling the world around us. It's found in becoming the steady presence within ourselves. It's more of an inner peace that grounds. Next up, I have another major arcana card, and that's the World card. The World card depicts a woman dancing freely within a laurel wreath. In her hand, she carries two wands symbolizing balance between the spiritual and the material worlds. Surrounding her are the four fixed signs: the lion, the bull, the eagle, and the angel. This card represents the completion of a full cycle of growth and experience. The World card is about completion and wholeness. It reminds us that every ending contains the seed of new beginnings. When one door closes, another door opens. This beautifully reflects the energy of the Aquarius full moon, bringing a chapter of completion. And it also echoes Mercury turning direct in Cancer and Saturn stationing retrograde, inviting us to reflect on everything that we've learned before stepping into what's next. The full moon isn't just revealing something hidden. It's showing us what has completed its purpose so that something new can begin, so that we can go into that next step of our evolution and walk into the collective the way we were meant to. Our next card is the King of Swords. In the Rider-Waite deck, the king sits firmly upon a stone throne. His sword is held upright, pointing towards the heavens, and it symbolizes truth, clarity, and justice, but also wisdom. His expression is calm and unwavering. He reminds us that wisdom comes from seeing reality as it is, not as we would wish it to be. This card aligns beautifully with Mercury turning direct in Cancer, helping us regain emotional clarity after a period of reflection. And it also reflects the Sun opposing Pluto retrograde, exposing hidden truths. So while Saturn retrograde asks us to make decisions from maturity rather than reaction, the full moon in Aquarius will help us with clarity. Because once we recognize the truth, we're invited to respond from wisdom rather than emotion. And finally, the Knight of Wands card. In the Rider-Waite Tarot, the knight rides, rearing the horse across a desert landscape. This horse is eager to move. His flowering wand symbolizes passion and inspiration, creative energy, and the courage to answer a calling. Even the barren landscape reminds us that new adventures often begin in places that once felt empty. The Knight of Wands doesn't wait until every detail is certain. He trusts his vision enough to take the next step, even when the path seems bleak. This card beautifully reflects the friction of Venus and Virgo squaring Mars and Gemini, challenging us to align our desires with our actions, and is further energized by the Sun's conjunction with Jupiter and Leo, encouraging bold self-expression. Neptune's sextile to Pluto is inspiring transformation guided by vision rather than fear. And the illumination here is that once truths have been revealed, the next invitation is movement. Courage is asking us not only to understand ourselves, but to live from that understanding. So taken together, these 4 cards tell us a remarkable story. The King of Swords helps us to see the truth. The Strength card gives us the courage to embody that truth. The Knight of Wands inspires us to take action on that truth. And the World card reminds us that as one chapter closes, another one is ready to begin. This is the deeper invitation of the Aquarius full moon, to gain clarity, to choose courage, and to move forward with authenticity, and to trust that every ending is quietly preparing us for a more wholehearted new beginning. So if we want to bring this entire episode together, the Sun in Leo opposing the full moon in Aquarius is giving us the courage to belong. Leo is encouraging us to be ourselves, while Aquarius is teaching us that our individuality was never meant to isolate us, but to give us something unique to contribute to the world. Jupiter reminds us to believe in what's possible, that belonging isn't something that we earn, it's something that we experience when we stop hiding who we are. So if this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, stay open, and remember, the universe has your back. Well, as we speak, we are sitting underneath the full moon in Aquarius. I did record this video right at the beginning of this lunation cycle. I really do often like to make videos in the energy because I feel like we can better connect to it when we're already in it. But as I said, there's been so much going on in my world that it was kind of a different episode than I normally like to do. I didn't have a lot of graphics this time, and I didn't take a lot of time over analyzing everything and scripting everything. But this lunation cycle was also very much about our sense of belonging and having the courage to be our authentic selves with the Sun in Leo and feeling like we belong just as we are. And so I thought, why not? Why not just come as I am, show up where I'm at, deliver the message anyways, in the most authentic way I know how. And it worked out, I think, pretty good. But for the most part, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a foundation of everything that's going on because we are entering into eclipse season. There's a lot more going on with that. The energy is going to pick up in intensity. There's going to be information that's going to be coming in, especially now that Mercury is direct in Cancer. We've gone through this huge emotional healing process through Jupiter's transit through Cancer, but now it's in Leo. So all of that energy that we were working on with Jupiter's transit through Cancer of emotional healing, now we're going to want to start walking and stepping out in our healing in the outer world and into the collective. So of course, sometimes this is scary. Sometimes this is uncomfortable for us. We've been in this intense kind of inward phase for a really long time. Now the energy is saying, okay, it's time to come out again. But we're scared, or maybe we're not as comfortable in our new versions of ourselves. Maybe we're still doubting ourselves, or just kind of still getting broken into our new skin. And all of that is okay. That's the other reason why I wanted to emphasize that we can still belong even in the process of our transformation. Even as I stand here today, not fully done up, I'm still meant to be here sharing this message. I'm still in transition. I'm still a work in progress. We're all still a work in progress. But Leo is showing us that even in that space, even in that place, we still have a place to shine. We still have a voice to share. We still have a reason and a purpose to be here and to be seen just as we are. So find those places where you feel like you belong. Find those safe places and those safe people where you can express yourselves just the way you are. And just be open to the surprises that await you, as far as, I never thought that I could be accepted just the way I am, or I never thought that it was okay to show up even though I wasn't done arriving where I thought I needed to be. There's so much going on energetically that teaches us how to beautifully show up in every phase and every step of our lives. And I think it's so important that we remember that there is a time and a season for everything. And it won't always look like what we want it to look like. And it won't always look like what we thought it would look like. And it won't look like what it looked like before. But we should be open to that, because within that energy is renewal, is opportunity, and growth. So again, I want to apologize. Like I said, there's been a lot going on in my world. I wanted to still show up for you guys anyways and give you a little bit of background about this energy and some tarot cards to share. But also, I will be back again. It will be a solar eclipse in Leo. It'll be a new moon solar eclipse in Leo, which is super exciting. I'm super excited for that. And by that time, things will be a little more fired up. Things are going to be a little bit more fired up, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay if it's a little bit more fired up. It's not going to be the kind of intensity that's going to bring us down. It's the kind of intensity that's going to push us forward, especially since the nodes have shifted and they have now moved. I'm going to do another video, I think, on the nodes. There's a lot of talk about the nodes on social media right now, and, through all the astrological astrologers out there doing videos about it. But this is a push forward, and it's not only a push forward from the inside out, it's really like pushing us to evolve, pushing us to transform. We are being pushed out, whether we're ready or not, with this eclipse season. So as long as you know that, you can be intentional about how you show up when you come out on the other side of this. I've got faith in you. I mean, this is a strengthening time, a time when you're going to start realizing your own strength. So as uncomfortable as it may feel, just know that the energy isn't going to leave you hanging. The energy isn't going to not catch you on the other side of this. On the other side of this, it's not going to look like where you are today and right now. It's going to look better and more in alignment with the person that you were created to be.